Hey guys, it's Chris from Highland Guitars. You're watching another episode from the Luthier's Workbench. You know, speaking of Luthier's workbenches, I've got several workbenches. In fact, I can count in here right now 4 of them. And I've got another one downstairs, so that's, well, 2 of them actually downstairs. So that's 6 workbenches that I've got that I use. And workbenches are such an important part of what we do. And they can be built specifically for different tasks. So what I thought I would do is, in this episode, is I'd show you one that I just finished building, or it's almost finished being built. And I'll explain some of the features on it. Maybe you can get some ideas that you can apply to a workbench for yourself. So let's take a closer look. The table I'm going to build is going to support a CNC machine, which I'm planning to build over the next couple of months. And I felt it was necessary to build the table first before building the CNC machine. That way I could actually assemble the machine on top of a finished table. I could always make the CNC machine on one of my other benches and then transfer it over, but that just doesn't make sense. I also wanted to make sure that this table has the ability to move around my shop. Like a lot of people, I'm cramped for space, so I have to make the best use of what I have. And as a result, I wanted to use casters on this table so that I can move it around. But I didn't want the casters permanently installed into the bottom of the legs, because from experience I've learned that when you put casters on a bench like this, it's not very stable. So I wanted to be able to retract them out of the way when I wasn't using them. And this is the design that I came up with. You can make a table out of any kind of wood that you want to. I chose to make it out of Douglas fir because it's so cheap and easy to obtain. But you could make it out of oak or maple or birch, and it just depends on how fancy you want to get with your workbench. Now, I'm pretty hard on the tables that I use, so I don't like to invest a lot of money into the wood that I'm going to use. I do have a bench that's made of oak, but that one is used primarily for setup, so it doesn't really get abused that much. And this one is going to be out in the garage, and it's going to support the CNC machine, so it really doesn't need to be any kind of a fancy wood. These are the 4 legs that you see here in this photo, and they are 4x4 Douglas fir, and what I did was I notched them out to accept 2x6 Douglas fir support rails that will go all the way around the perimeter. To assemble the table, I'm just going to use number 9 2.5-inch construction screws. And the reason I'm doing that is because I want to be able to take this table apart if I ever decide to move it to another location. So I'm not going to be using any wood glue for the assembly. And as I discovered a long time ago building benches, glue isn't at all necessary for this. Now, originally, my plan was to pick up 4 casters at Harbor Freight and use those on this table. But while I was there, I looked over and saw one of these furniture dollies rated at 1,000 pounds that has the same casters that I was holding in my hand. And instead of buying 4 separate casters for a total of about 20 bucks, I just bought this furniture dolly for 10 bucks, half the price. Took it home, and all I had to do was unbolt the casters, and I'm going to reuse the bolts and the nuts, so I ended up saving a bit of money doing it that way. Each caster wheel was attached to a 16-inch long piece of 2x6, and then that in turn was attached to the leg using a simple door hinge. I have to carefully measure the position of the caster board so that when the board is up, the wheel is off the ground, and when the board is down, the wheel is lifting the table leg off the floor. Screwing the hinges to the leg is a little bit tricky because of the position of the board relative to the table legs itself. It's kind of a tight fit to get in there, but it all worked out. I mounted a 2x4 on the side to serve as a lock block for the caster board when it's in the rolling position. This will swing out of the way on a 3/8 inch bolt with some washers and a lock nut. I found that rounding the corner of the lock block that engages the castor board makes it work better. So this is how the table looks after final assembly. The only thing I have left to do is to put the top on it, and I'll do that later. I'm also going to add a shelf below. But I wanted to leave those off for now so that you can see the structure, because that's really where everything happens with these table designs. And I added a couple of stringers across the top and on the lower section so that they can support the top and the shelf. And I laid those in flat so that there's more surface area to support the top and the shelf. And normally people would be concerned that that board is going to warp over time. And yes, it would. But in this case, I was able to source a 2x4 that was perfectly quarter sawn, so that shouldn't be a problem. And here's how I mounted up those retractable castor boards. It's a pretty simple design, but it's very effective, and I'll demonstrate that here for you right now. When I'm ready to move the table to a different location in my shop, all I have to do is press down on the castor board and then push the lock block into position to keep it locked in place. And I'll do that at all four corners. Once I've engaged the castor wheels, it's easy to roll this table around the shop, and I can move it anywhere I want to. And then once I have it in position, all I have to do is kick out those lock blocks, and the castor boards will tilt up, lifting the castor wheels off the floor and lowering the bottom of the table leg down flat in contact with the surface of the floor. So that's really all there is to building one of these table/workbenches, and it's a really simple project. It takes about an afternoon to put one of these together, and total cost for me came out to around $100, so that's not bad. And when you think about it, workbenches can really have an impact on the type and quality of work that you do. So you can never have enough workbenches. It's kind of like C-clamps. You can never have enough. So until the next episode, take care, and we'll see you soon.